If you've been thinking about listing your home, I want you to pay close attention to something that just came out in the data because it's going to change how you think about pricing your home. Home prices are actually falling right now, and that might sound like bad news, but stick with me because what's actually happening in this market is really good news for sellers who understand it, and it could cost you real money if you don't understand it. Now, this isn't a guess, and it's not something I'm pulling out of thin air. This is fresh national data, current as of just a couple weeks ago. And once you understand what it's telling us, you'll know exactly how to price your home right the first time, instead of learning the hard way. Now, I'm going to walk you through why prices are falling nationally, why that's actually a sign of a healthy market, what it means for how you should price your home, and why the buyer pool out there might be a lot stronger than the headlines are telling you. And toward the end, I'll tell you exactly what percentage of sellers are already doing something about this and whether you should be doing it too. So let's start here. Homeowners are listing their homes at the fastest pace we've seen since 2022. New listings rose 2.4% year over year in June, closing out the strongest spring in years. And it's not just a national blip. This is happening in regions that have historically struggled with tight inventory. More sellers are deciding now is the time to put their home on the market. Now here's the part that gets people's attention. Asking prices fell again at a record pace, down 2.5% year over year. That's the steepest annual drop we've seen since 2017, and the 8th straight month of declines. But before you panic, this is not a crash. This is sellers getting smart. Sellers are pricing their homes to attract buyers from day one instead of listing high and cutting the price later. And economists are actually calling this a good sign. It's what they call a functioning market. Buyers are noticing and they're making bids because sellers are finally meeting the market where it actually is instead of where it was. Here's why that matters to you. If you're getting ready to list, the sellers who succeed right now are the ones who price accurately from day one, not the ones who list high and hope somebody bites. Now, I actually made a whole video breaking down exactly why that strategy backfires, the psychology behind it, why it doesn't work the way people think it does. I'll link to it up above if you want the full breakdown. Now, if we're just meeting, my name's Ken Mandich. I'm a realtor and a real estate investor here in the metro Atlanta area, and this channel is your edge in buying, selling, and investing in real estate. So let's get tactical. What do you actually do with all of this? First, don't price your home hoping a wave of rate-driven buyers is going to bail you out later. The experts, you got Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, NBA, Wells Fargo, they all pretty much agree that mortgage rates are going to stay right around where they are for the foreseeable future. In fact, the data that I'm seeing, rates might raise a little bit in the near future depending on what happens with the war in Iran, oil prices, and inflation. So don't price for a market that isn't coming. Second, if you're not getting traction, you're not alone. But there is already a proven playbook. Nearly half of all home sellers gave concessions to buyers in May, the highest share on record for that month. Now that could mean help with closing costs, a home warranty, or something else that makes the deal easier for a buyer. If pricing alone isn't moving the needle, a concession might be exactly what gets your home across the finish line. And third, here's some genuinely good news that doesn't get talked about enough. Big institutional investors, the Wall Street money that's been buying up homes for years, well, they've pulled way back. Investor home purchases fell 6% year over year, dropping to their lowest level since 2020. And this isn't just market conditions shifting on their own. Back in June, Congress passed real federal legislation restricting large institutional investors from buying up single-family homes. The market reacted almost instantly. Investment by the biggest players pulled back right away. And it's not just that they're buying less. The largest institutional landlords in the country are now actually selling more homes than they're buying. And that gap has been growing every single quarter since the start of 2025. My take, a big piece of this is rent prices softening in a lot of the markets. And when the rental income doesn't pencil out the way it used to, landlords will start cashing out. That's honestly a whole video on its own, so I'll just leave that for another time. Here's why all this is good news for you as a seller. Now, less institutional cash competition means the buyers left in the market are real owner-occupant buyers. People who are actually going to live in your home, not investors trying to fix and flip it for a quick profit. That's exactly the kind of buyer pool that responds to a home that's priced right, shows well, and is marketed properly. And I actually break all three of those down: preparation, pricing, and promotion in a separate video. I'll link to that one up above too if you want to dig into that full strategy. So remember I told you I'd share what percentage of sellers are already doing something about all of this? Nearly half. Pricing accurately from the start and offering concessions when needed. That's not desperation, that's strategy, and it's working. If you're getting ready to sell, here's the bottom line. The market is shifting. Prices are adjusting, and the sellers who come out ahead are the ones who price based on where the market actually is right now. Not where it was a few years ago, and not where they're hoping it's going to be later. Rates aren't going to be bailing anybody out, but a smaller pool of investor competition combined with real buyers who are ready to act on a well-priced home means there's real opportunity here if you approach it in the right way. Now, if you're in Cobb or Cherokee County and want to know exactly where your home stands in today's market with real current data, not a guess, I'll walk you through it personally on a free 30-minute Zoom call. It's a real comparative market analysis, or basically a market value report, built specifically around your home and your neighborhood. Now, there's no pressure, no obligation, just an honest look at what the data is telling us. The link is below in the description. I'm Ken Mandich, and I'll see you next time.